I didn't
I think it was
watch any of
Monday.
it. I won't watch any of it. I dread having to watch clips of it like I do, but let's go.
Impossibility. Fair impossibility. We're in the grip of a once-in-a-century pandemic. Historic joblessness.
Now, as you can see here, they are simply holding up a sign that says Free Palestine, and they're not only doing it, they're doing it in the back where you're not even obstructing anybody's view.
Wait, but might I add that these are people that I'm sure had to walk through security at some point. So clearly they're not dangerous in any way.
Oh, they're dangerous, all right.
Yeah.
They're dangerous for
So
corporate
no.
profits.
I mean, like, I understand people having to go through security and for that, and but if you got through that, which I'm sure they all had to, then really your issue is the message, and then that's a problem.
Oh, it's a problem.
This is a problem.
Yep, we'll keep going.
Call for racial justice long overdue.
We love Joe. That's the response. And by the way, the guy who's trying to get physical is a union boss in Massachusetts, because of course he is.
This guy.
That guy. And there's a few others that have been sprinkled in, and we will hear more about it.
Shame on
But
them.
we are very, very happy to have.
You know what? And until they merge the movements, until everybody kind of does that, we're not going to get to where we all need to get. I'm just saying.
Well, speaking truth to power is essential, especially in a time like this. She is certainly a trailblazer and the type that we really need in this moment. And we stand behind her 100%, as I hope all of you will. Nadia Ahmad, welcome to Generational Change. I think you're still muted.
Yeah, what
happened?
happened?
Thank you so much for having me. It's a real pleasure to be here, Jen. You're like a real inspiration. And I think that like just what you saw was really problematic, because the speech that President Biden was giving was about why we shouldn't have political violence. And so I was met with political violence.
Right.
And also, if you look at the clip closely, because I was looking to see if I spotted anybody that I knew. And so I spotted in the booth right over from where they were hitting us, which was the labor union, like skybox, or you would say, was the one that had the governor of Illinois, as well as the deputy manager.
Wait, who was that? Who else besides Pritzker?
Was Quentin Fulks, who's the deputy campaign manager of the Harris campaign. And they just looked on. And in fact, I even saw him in the hotel lobby. And I asked him about it. And he first told me that I had confused him with somebody else. And I was like, weren't you in the box with the governor? And he was like, oh yeah, that was me. So he was willing to admit that he was sitting by the governor, but not willing to admit that he watched those people assault me and not do anything.
Who's your cool friend with the black cowboy hat? That's what I want to know.
Oh, so that is Liano Sharon. He is another DNC member from Michigan. And so that was, I think, where we felt we had a little bit more leeway. We weren't a Biden delegate or uncommitted delegate or Harris delegate. We were there as automatic delegates. And so we felt that as leaders in the party, we had to take a stand in a way that was more front-facing. We also had a hard time recruiting people to do this type of action because people were concerned about getting their credentials revoked. But I was in the same boat as you. Is like, you know what, I'm there, and might as well.
Yeah. You know what? I'm sitting here and I'm realizing that in so many more ways than I even originally thought, they're just replaying their 2016 handbook. The difference is, instead of treating the Bernie delegates like that, they were treating the uncommitted delegates like that. Because at this point, between 2016 and now, they've just decided we're not even going to put out the facade of a primary. We're not going to have a primary. We're going to coronate somebody. We're not even going to pretend to have a primary. And so, but they're treating anybody who is putting out the contrary message to their corporate narrative in any way are the people that are getting outcasted, even people that are in the party. And I think that the message is really clear. I think that the party just wants to expel people that are still fighting for vulnerable people and for the least of these. They do. They're not interested in that. They're just not. They're not interested in helping oppressed people. So, and I honestly, I hope that as more and more people see this and are aware of it, they leave the party, because there is no solution in the Democratic Party for any sort of actual progress. There isn't.
Yeah, and I mean, and we went there sincerely. Like we really thought, we could make a difference, but it was just back-to-back stonewalling. And also another thing that if you, I don't know if you saw in the clip that you just shared, but one of the people from the Florida delegation was essentially also hitting Amy Goodman of Democracy Now!, the reporter. And so she's kind of like
from the Florida delegation was hitting Amy. I'd love to know who. Yeah. Oh, I'd love to know who.
And so after a while, she realized who it was, and she's like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I love you." Like if it makes a difference who she's hitting, and so that's just it's a completely astounding. And we had notified some reporters that we trust in advance, so there was a lot of cameras on it. To the extent that they could really cover it. They'd also turned off the lights in that area, so it made it a little bit more somewhat dangerous because they did that in terms of like walking around. And it's just that they didn't care. Like they had no concern. And the whole thing is like, okay, they assaulted me. They didn't do anything to the people that assaulted me. In fact, one of the people, Brent Booker, actually spoke earlier that day from the DNC stage. And the whole movement around Uncommitted was to get a Palestinian speaker. So not only do they not get a Palestinian speaker, they put somebody on stage who just a few hours later goes around and beats up people who put up a Stop Arming Israel sign.
Yeah. So let me ask you, what will it really take, seriously, and I'm not even being rhetorical, what will it really take for groups that are marginalized or oppressed, if whatever it is, to see and that the Democrats don't want us? Like they don't want people that are fighting for that. They just don't. I don't know. I mean, at some point, I just think it's like they are just not on our team.
I think it's not. I think they think they're like in some type of elite squad, but they're really not. What they are these people who are not going to be very happy come November, and they think they're going to be able to overcome any gap. But like how much can you come? Like the ordinary people are not really happy with the current administration. And if you talk to them, which people at the DNC won't, they really just want to stay in their happy little bubble. And that's why we were met with such like brute violence when we tried to just bring up the sign. Like so many people like within the party were not willing to do anything that would be super disruptive. Like everything was very controlled.
How many people are in that? How many uncommitted delegates are we talking about here? How many people are you?
So there's about 29 uncommitted delegates. I'm not like technically part of the uncommitted.
Okay.
And then there is also there was probably another 65, including some of those uncommitted delegates who are Muslim delegates. And the party clearly did not want them to be a part or included in any meaningful way. For example, one of the delegates from Broward County, who you may know, she came with her family and other members of the American Muslim Democratic Caucus, and they were not given any access for guest credentials until maybe the very last day, even though other people who brought guests and stayed at this hotel were given credentials. And so really that's what it is. It's that you're not welcome. We don't want you to be part of the party. And I think that if people don't realize that now, they need to come to that very rude awakening very soon.